How's it going, guys? Dylan from Luxury Lives On, and I hope everyone's doing well today. Today is another installment of, well, my now not so new series, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, where I take a look at high-mileage luxury cars to tell you, well, what the hell to actually expect when you drive them. Now, today's subject is my brother's BMW M4, but surprisingly, it's only at 20,000 miles. Now, before you crucify me in the comments, I thought it was an interesting car to choose because, well, these cars are all on their leases right now, and you're really not going to see more than 20 or 30,000 miles on them anyway. But you will be able to take advantage of them when they're off their leases, and you'll be taking advantage of that depreciation too. So I figured I'd tell you, well, what to expect when you do buy one. All sorts of numbers and letters get thrown on the back of, well, a lot of cars these days. The question is, have these stick-on scripts lost their meaning? Well, in the case of this car, the letter M stands for a lot more than extra legroom and a hybrid motor. In fact, it stands for motorsport, I think. Now, I spoke to you about the importance of the letter M on this car, and BMW sure doesn't fail to remind you of it. Alright, now we're going to look at the exterior to start. And, well, the spec alone isn't exactly wild. We've decided to opt for just white, but it's a nice alternative because a lot of these M4s are in such wild colors, and when you're driving this car, people already think you're a total douchebag because your indicator's not working. So the bright colors don't tend to help their opinions. So I like it. It's a little bit more stealth, if you can say that. And it contrasts really nicely with all the black and carbon fiber accents that kind of come on the car already. However, not all of it comes on the car. In fact, we've done some modifications. I'll walk you around, and that's one of the great things about this car is, just like all the Subarus and GTIs of the world, eBay has a lot for them. And, well, we've done a few different things to start. We've done carbon fiber grills, carbon fiber little lips here. In addition to that, we've done a carbon fiber rear lip, fatter exhaust pipes, and then I'll go on later to the engine and the interior. Now, my biggest complaint nowadays when you pay more for these faster versions, because let's be honest, these start at 70 and you can very easily get to up to 100,000 or more if you get the competition package and all the other crap. You can pay a ton of money, and, well, you want to know you're getting something for your buck. And my biggest complaint is some of the S-lines and AMGs, although they're cool, they don't scream like this car, "I'm an M and I'm going to eat your children and spit them out the exhaust pipes." This car is unmistakably boy racer. It's got all these different things going on about it. And to start, well, the M4 obviously has a different front bumper. It has floating mirrors. You can opt for several different types of aggressive wheels. A little vent here, a side valence here. Quad exhaust, a different rear bumper. And then most importantly, started with the E92 M3, a carbon fiber roof, which is just pure sexy. Now, two-door sports cars are notorious for having terrible trunks. However, on this car, it's the German version of it because it's actually a bit practical. You open it up and you find there's actually room in here. And then in addition to that, there's these little tabs that you can pull and fold the seats down. Alright, before we move away from the trunk, allow me to tell you about a hidden, brilliant, and very intuitive feature on the BMW. You see, if your hands are full, all you do is slide your foot underneath the trunk lid and it will just pop open right for you. See, all you do is just put your foot right underneath and it pops open very easily. Nope, okay, right, you put the other foot underneath and it'll pop very quickly for you. Okay, yeah, no, you just put this down. Yeah, put your foot underneath there, that's perfect. Now, other foot, there we go. Yeah, see, very easy, very intuitive. And it helps a lot when you're doing during a big shopping trip. All right, so the one problem being a sports car is it's rather low, and sometimes, well, you're gonna have to get used to having some cringe moments when you scrape it. Hopefully I make this driveway. Now before we do anything else, let's talk about wear and tear. So as I said, 20,000 miles, and some of the things to expect is obviously rock chips. We have a low, mean sports car, and well, it's gonna show it in the front bumper. It's gonna show it in the wheel wells from the big tires picking it up. So you have to keep in mind, are you keeping it? Are you leasing it? And do you wanna fork up the money to do a full clear bra, which is obviously thousands to do? Now we're going to segue nicely into the interior because, well, there's wear and tear in here as well. Specifically on the bolsters. Now, you're very excited, you got an M and you have M race seats to match. But the problem is because it has such big bolsters, in and out of the car, ingress, egress, it just nails it. I'll show you right here. You already see some of the white underneath in the cracks, and it's just not acceptable. We had it on our i8, we have it on our M4 now. And you know, it's not like it has a ton of miles, and you got to keep in mind black is like one of the most forgiving colors for this type of wear and tear. So that's very unfortunate. In addition to that, these pretty little M inserts, they actually glow, but unfortunately they have notorious issues with cracking. So I don't know if you can see, but there's actually little you know, hairline cracks that form in it, and this is actually our third set of those. In addition to that, some other wear and tear is when you get an M car, get these nice colored stitches, but my dirty paws kind of muck these up over time. And then, you know, you get some cool things though standard in this car that, you know, you wouldn't otherwise get in other cars. Usually you buy an expensive sports car and they make you pay for every single thing, nickel and dime, just like Porsche will, you know, charge you to get colored badges on your wheels. Luckily on this car, you inherit a lot of the great BMW technology from over the years, whether it be the iDrive here, you get Bluetooth, GPS, full leather seats, seat heaters. You can opt for the heads-up display as well. You have a little charge pad in here for your iPhone. This annoying thing when you lean on it, jumps and moves forward, so you look like a total idiot. And then in addition to that, you have a funny little steering heating button here for when your hands get cold in winter, even though where I live we don't have seasons. Overall, the interior, it's nice, it's simple, it's driver focused, it's kind of like a Porsche interior in some ways. Yes, you have some of the LED displays from the early 90s that you would see on, you know, E36s, E46s, but you know, I don't think it necessarily is as pretty as a Mercedes interior. You know, you had that new S-Class interior that was just stunning, and it trickled down to all the other Mercedes, whether it be the C-Class, E-Class, you know, whatever it be, and those are just pretty. I think BMW has a bit of work to do, but obviously they have their own design language, you know, as well. Sorry you had to stare at my bum there for a second. But this is part of a demonstration, because usually when you have these sporty two-door cars, well, they're designed for people who, first of all, don't have kids, and second of all, well, eventually won't have a social life. Because, let's be honest, you can only fit your friend, your girlfriend, and that's it. However, this car is nothing like, well, the 911s we think of, where, you know, you have to have amputees sitting at the back. In fact, there's a ton of room back here. And the main reason being, surprisingly, is because of that carbon fiber roof. You see, we had a 4 Series before originally, and I couldn't even fit back here. But because there's a lack of insulation and it kind of lips upward the roof, you actually find that you have a ton more headroom back here, and the seats in general actually you can fit in too. So I can comfortably fit in the back of here, which, well, is a huge deal breaker on most of these cars. Now yes, I'm in the front of the car to show you the engine, but before you start cringing, because I know you've seen like 20 guys in backwards hats vaping at car meets showing their engines and their M4s, I have a few things that, well, may help when I tell you. Now to start, it's a 6-cylinder, which is kind of insane because it came from, well, the E92, which was a screaming naturally aspirated V8. And they had a lot of trouble bringing the 6-packs in, even though it was obviously in the E46, E36, and traditionally was in these M cars. However, going back, they wanted to make it more efficient. And they did that by making it surprisingly a 3-liter 6-cylinder. In addition to that, it's a twin turbocharged engine. So they've been able to reduce weight because of that, and they've been able to increase efficiency. Now this brings the horsepower up to just over 400 with a 0 to 60 of 4.3 and a very sexually frustrating limited top speed of 155. However, the biggest thing about these cars is I told you they're very, very mod friendly. Now, hypothetically speaking, if we were to modify this car, which we wouldn't because it would void our warranty and it would be absolutely insane, the car's good enough, you can do things like dual cone intakes, you can do software to the car, ram air scoops, which gives you a bang for buck on the market that you see nowhere else. When you're trying to, get power out of a naturally aspirated engine, you gotta hollow the headers out, you have to do some straight pipe, you wanna either slap a turbo on it, do whatever crazy stuff that's gonna be thousands of dollars. With these cars, you can get tons of horsepower for, absolutely nothing. And in fact, this car, hypothetically speaking, has 500 horsepower, which doesn't make sense, obviously, because we didn't modify it or anything. I mean, that'd be super silly. Let me just close this real quick. All right, so let's go to the drive part of the video, which is always my favorite section. Now, we are currently on board the M4, and we already have a problem. My problem is, as I've mentioned before, is that every car today has multiple personality disorder. You have different modes and buttons for every day of the week, for every mood you're in, and it's just really complicated things. Most people don't know what they're doing, including myself. You don't know what improves what or what makes what better or unmanageable. And well, the M cars are probably the most notorious for this overcomplication. In fact, there's an adjustment for the traction control, for the throttle, for the suspension, for the steering, for the shifting, but all that's crap. In fact, here is M for Dummies. Basically, all you do is hit this little M, boop, and goes into the gnarly mode. It shows you Sport Plus, Sport Plus, Sport Plus. All right, sorry, you have to look at me for a second here. There, all right. Ugh. Are you guys comfortable? Good, good, good. Now, we're in M mode, and what we want to do next is put it in manual shifting, and we are off. Now, there's something really important to note, guys. When you don't really know M cars, you think that they are just glorified 4 Series and 3 Series and whatever it may be. You just think, yeah, you're paying a lot more, they've done something to the engine, they put a nice front bumper on it, and it's finished. I have to tell you, this car is nothing, and I mean nothing, like the normal 4 Series. It's like it came out of a different factory. In fact, it's like they put this car in a room with a bunch of evil geniuses, gave them as much of a budget as they wanted, and said, make this thing outrageous. So really, it doesn't have any BMW DNA. What it has is M DNA. However, it's not without its issues. In fact, when you're in M mode, the shifting is really, really jerky. It's almost like a manual transmission. In fact, the head of M said he wanted the car to feel like a manual transmission, and he wanted people to look like idiots. No, what it is, it's when the M mode is in all of the max settings, the car really is in 0 or go mode. That's the way I would put it. You're either not moving or you're flooring it. So what I sometimes do is take it out of M mode just while I'm at stoplights so I don't look like a total moron. Now, the other complaint, one of the bad things in it, is there also is a complaint about sound being funneled into the car. You had it notoriously in the BMW i8. It's a big issue today because obviously we're making engines more efficient, quieter, turbocharged, less cylinders, lower literage, all these things. And obviously you're not going to have a beautiful NA sound all the time. And well, I think these companies are starting to develop a bit of a complex. So you have in this car an incredibly small amount of sound being pumped in, to the extent that actually a lot of people take it out and they say the car sounds better. On the i8 there's a ton more. This car, I wouldn't even complain about the actual sound of the car. It's more BMW being insecure. All right, so now when you do hit that M button, the car becomes an absolute animal. There goes my phone. Oh shit, there goes the neighborhood. It's an absolute monster. It's honestly pretty frightening to drive. It is so fast. Also, because we hypothetically modified it. Hypothetically, of course. So we're running hypothetically at 500 horsepower because of the hypothetical dual cone intakes and the hypothetical software. So honestly, it becomes an absolute monster. It handles incredibly well. There's a funny little delay with the turbo lag at the end, but it's not like you were missing anything in the beginning. It's fast altogether. It just hits you again in the back of the head at the end of the RPM range. Oh, and it sounds so good too. That was one of the big complaints about this car. Obviously, the BMW guys are similar in the Porsche guys in the sense that, is it going to be like the olden days? Are things still going to be the same? The Porsche guys, they'll complain about, a different screw set that you used from the original car. This car, a lot of the complaints were, it doesn't have hydraulic steering. The engine's not naturally aspirated. It's not going to sound good anymore. It's not going to feel good anymore. It's not going to be a driver's car. It's not going to have a personality. Tell me if this isn't the personality. Oh shit. Oh my god, it's fighting for traction. And I'm not even turning. It is so fun, it's so alive, and it would be such a great car to, drive to work, look all nice and fancy in your M4, and then leave home and feel like a child when you're driving it, because it's just so engaging, so fun, so unpredictable. And unpredictable meaning that, how many of us have seen those YouTube videos of the guys leaving cars and coffee in these and literally spinning out looking like total losers? That's the thing, you gotta be really careful with this car. So that is it. Those are all the good, bad, and ugly things that we've noticed on our BMW M4 over a 20,000 mile ownership period. It's not a ton of time, but then again, it is a lease. And well, to be honest with you guys, this is one of the more boring good, bad, uglies that I've done. The thing doesn't have any quirks, the wear and tear is not bad, and it's a ton of fun to not only look at, but drive. Guys, if you want to follow me on more things, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, YouTube. If you want to see what type of equipment I'm using, Amazon links below. Guys, if you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, please do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.